I'd like to talk to you about adversity in your life. Not an easy topic to talk about, but for all of us, life often throws a curveball. And what do you do about that? How do you cope? Look, challenges will happen to us all. This is very real to me. Last year, I spent a lot of the year in and out of hospital, and for someone who's been reasonably well, it's been a tough, call it a tough gig if you will. I almost died last year in hospital, and over that period of time I received what I can only really describe at the end was an absolute miracle. And my health looked great at the end of the year. Life was now about to start with a good bill of health, I thought. Then, would you believe it, and the new year came, I started the year as usual, and then, look, I had a major stroke. Out of the stroke, I had a significant bleed, and I now have a brain injury that I'm told will take quite some time to heal. I'm all numb down the left-hand side. This includes my head and face, and I spent a few days in hospital. But the amazing part of all of this is, and the doctors can't believe how I'm still walking around with full use of my body. He said in cases like mine, where it is gone into the brainstem, he would expect to see me paralysed down the left side. This would have affected my speech, of course, and much, much more. It started off when I woke up in the middle of the night. I just felt a bit odd, a bit strange, and I had a headache, and I was feeling a little bit off balance as I got up. And as I got out of bed and I put my weight on my left-hand side, I stumbled, and I noticed that the whole side of me was quite numb. And look, I thought nothing of it at the time. I thought I must have slept the wrong way or slightly pinched a nerve or something. So, look, I just went back to sleep again. In the morning, I didn't feel any better, and I was still numb down the left-hand side, and I had slight balance issues, and this was making me feel a little bit nauseous. Look, with the benefit of hindsight, I probably should have gone straight to the hospital at that point and shouldn't have really ridden my motorcycle into work and gone to work at all. As the afternoon progressed, I wasn't feeling any better, and they suggested at work that it might be a good idea to go up to the hospital and just get checked out. And that is when I found that I'd had a major stroke, and because of my work role, it required driving, so I also lost my job at the same time, which really is, it was a bit of a double whammy. And after last year of pretty much supporting myself throughout the year with hospitalisations, this was really terrible news. If you've lived any amount in life, you'll know that there are disappointments. Look, there's hurt and pain, there's frustrations and adversity, and look, people will let you down and they will hurt you. Look, there's loss of employment, broken relationships, accidents, health issues, even the passing of a loved one. These are all sorts of things that do happen in life and that come our way. We have to look at these things, I believe, as challenges. As something that you can rise above and conquer. You can allow your problems to consume you, but I believe we can rise above these. I've had some human moments over the last while struggling to make sense of all my difficulties and circumstances and look, feeling down. But am I going to stay there? Absolutely not. I view this as a challenge. When you have difficulties, and they often come for a purpose in life, life just isn't random. We say, wow, what a coincidence that was, or often these difficult circumstances, they're really meant to be learning and growth experiences for us. Sometimes these take you on a completely different pathway, and the adversities and difficulties you had were really needed to grow you and strengthen you. So the question really to ask is, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? Why are these things happening to me? and then work through them and move on. I asked myself, am I going to die? The answer, no. Well, look, that's a good start. I'm very fortunate to have all the use of my limbs. My brain is working fine, I think. I must admit, I do have some moments where my thinking has been abnormal. For example, I've had times without realising it just over the recent time where I've reacted and been quite short with my wife, and my thinking has been hazy and a little foggy. But look, within the hour or so, I've been able to recognise that I had been short and just really apologise and move on for this. And look, I can only improve. I have equal strength on both sides of my body. And look, if the numbness never changes, it's not the end of the world. I can live with that. Am I going to give in to this? Absolutely not. You can either have a positive or negative attitude in life. Things happen for a purpose, and things happen for a reason. For example, I wouldn't be doing these videos right now if I hadn't almost died in hospital last year. It made me sit down and evaluate my life. And I thought, who knows the future, and life can be short. I have 22 years experience in recovery and have a life that hasn't been easy. A life with a lot of difficulty and adversity in it. This has, in the main, been caused through my own actions, but I have learned a lot about recovery, living and how to overcome and move forward. I was thinking to myself, look, it's really quite selfish if I don't share and offer a positive message of hope to others. What was the point in going through all of these things in my life and the difficulties if I wasn't prepared to encourage and inspire anyone else? And really, look, this past while has acted as a catalyst for me now doing what I'm doing. Just as much as our bodies need good food to work well, we also need good mind food, and that is positivity, positive voices in our life, just like I'm doing now. The reason I'm now not upset is because I've sown optimism deep into my life. It is a way I've been for so long that it's now natural to me to look at things positively. Life comes down to perspective, how you view it. It is the same world whether you're standing on the ground or whether you are flying in an aeroplane. Looking down on the world, it's a lot different when you're flying, looking down, than it is when you're standing on the ground. Same world, different perspective. You too can sow deep into your life positivity. You can keep sowing it, and eventually it will become part of your life as you action it. With this, you will become an optimistic, enthusiastic person in life. And that is what has happened to me, and I'm excited about the future. I'm still realistic. The doctors have told me exactly my position and what has happened, but I choose to treat it as a challenge, move through it and grow and not be limited by it. I have a dear friend who had a terrible car accident and had a significant brain injury, and look, he almost died. He lost an eye and significant arm movement. He had to learn to walk and talk and read again. He basically had to start his life from scratch. He was a carpenter on the tools and he couldn't do that any longer. Now, he had a choice. He'd come to a crossroad where he could just sit down and accept life was over and look, just say to himself, I can't use my body, I've had it. He could have just felt sorry for himself and become a victim, and no one would have blamed him at all. He had such significant injuries. But did he do that? Absolutely not. He had the opportunity to retrain, and he did just that. He already had carpentry skills, so going into architecture seemed to be a natural progression. He ended up starting his own architectural business, which it went really, really well. He's employed staff, and he then became a property investor, and now he has an enormous property portfolio. He works in the community, he's done overseas, he's gone overseas to third world countries, and he's built a school and services, and he's done so much with his life that had he stayed as a carpenter, it may not have happened. He's living an exciting, meaningful life that he might never have had. Look, he has a wonderful wife and a beautiful family, and his accident took him on a completely different pathway. He became stronger and moved on in his life and achieved so much. This horrible accident turned around for good. People would look on and say, it is nothing short of astounding, and that's true. Sometimes when I'm down, I often think of my friend because he inspires me. We all need inspiration from friends around us, and that's the reason for me doing these talks, and it's to give you some inspiration. To be reminded that we all have worth and value, which I always talk about. That you can be that person that looks at the world from above and says, can't is not in my thinking or vocabulary. There was a funny movie I watched called The Yes Man, and look, it's just a funny movie. He basically had to say yes to everything. It was very amusing, but in doing this, he had a very interesting growth journey and lots of hilarious moments. But prior to this, he was a very negative person that said no pretty much to everything. And the point really was, step up and step out of your comfort zone and really start living and see what happens with your life. Negativity builds on negativity, and before you know it, you're sitting in a cloud of depression and pain, and all you want to do is give up. But as you get rid of that hurt and pain and sow positivity into your life and make it part of your being, life can be an exciting journey. Of course, not without its challenges. That's the point. They are challenges, and not just something bad that has happened to you. What is a challenge? It is something to rise above. You can flip the coin on that challenge and turn it around into something positive and something great in your life. Life can be an exciting, challenging journey, and I want to say to you today, treat it like that. Become that positive, enthusiastic person, and as you do so, you will grow and it will have a snowballing effect in your life, and you'll find that you start naturally adding to your life all the time. You'll go through a challenge, and in the midst, look for some opportunities, because that challenge has happened for a reason. And as you move through, other opportunities that they will present themselves, and there's quite possible that a lot better may come your way than what you did have before. We should always want to be improving and growing, meeting challenges and overcoming, and continuing down this wonderful journey of life. So I want to encourage you with this today, and just thank you for watching this, and be encouraged that there is a great future for you. No matter what has happened, you can rise up, you can overcome, and you can become bigger and better.